Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. This is the workshop on autonomy for future SMD missions. And to get started, I want to welcome Greg Schmidt, who's I saw earlier. There he is, who just wants to come say a few words. This workshop is actually being hosted by Survey as an extended part of the NASA Exploration Science Forum. And so I'd like to welcome Greg Schmidt.
Good morning, everyone. Boy, what an honor it is to host this group. I know I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces, a few new ones as well. A lot of you attended our Exploration Science Forum, which just closed yesterday afternoon, which talked about the blend of planetary science and human exploration that enables science that enables exploration. So when Terry approached me several months ago and said, he thought it would be a really good idea to have a follow-on workshop and get some of our same community to attend a workshop focused on spacecraft autonomy. It took me several nanoseconds to realize that was an exceptionally good idea. We heard a couple of particularly inspiring talks at the end of our meeting. One by Alan Stern, PI for the New Horizons mission that went to Pluto a couple of years ago, and another by Jack Burns, who's right over there and who's participating in this meeting. And I really resonated in particular with some words that Jack said about disruptive approaches in NASA in general. So we're already starting to do a little bit of that within Survey. Jack's team, as a matter of fact, Terry is the lead for this, is working on teleoperations, which I think is going to be disruptive and enable us to get a lot more science out of our human missions. But I really can't imagine any more disruptive approaches and things that would fundamentally change what we can do in planetary science than autonomy. We had a workshop in February. I was honored to serve on the science organizing committee for this, called Vision 2050. It was taking a look at where planetary science might be in the year 2050, and I think I was arguably one of the more vocal advocates for autonomy, saying that what we are going to be getting, what we are getting right now from Waymo, from some of the other companies just within a handful of miles of here, when we apply this to planetary science, it's going to absolutely revolutionize what we can do. We're going to be getting more data. We're going to be having independent systems that will be able to make decisions and send us meaningful knowledge versus just data. And so I really look forward to what this workshop is going to be able to come up with. And I think that we at Survey certainly, and planetary science and human exploration would like to start applying that right away. So have a good workshop. I look forward to participating in it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Greg. And just final check, if you were here thinking this is the NASA Exploration Science Forum, that actually officially ended yesterday. Today we're going to be talking about autonomy the entire day. We structured this workshop to really be an interactive one, so it's not going to just be talks, although that's what we're going to be doing for the first part of the morning, but we really want to make sure that everybody here is an active participant. So, please make sure that you get engaged, that you ask questions, that you don't hold back. In fact, if you hold back, we're going to come after you and make sure that you don't hold back. I want to point out a couple of people to get started. First off, if you haven't figured out, I'm Terry Fong. My name's right there. I'm the Senior Scientist for Autonomous Systems here at NASA Ames. My co-conspirator, co-organizer is Mike Seabloom, who's right here, NASA headquarters. Florence Tan, who's walking in, has been part of the organizing committee. And Michael Furlong, who's getting coffee because it's still early, is back there, has also been helping out as well. So just a bit of motivation for why we're here today and what we're trying to accomplish. It's pretty clear, for anybody, if you look out there, that autonomy is changing the world. There's an incredible, massive commercial investment today in the development of autonomous systems and technology that will change things which formerly were not autonomous into things which are autonomous. You just look at what's going on in the world of drones and robots, self-driving cars. In fact, if you're in the Bay Area for any period of time and you don't almost get run over by a Waymo car, that means you're not outside. I think one of the key things here that's interesting for us here at NASA, of course, is how can NASA missions take advantage of this? And how can we make sure that we don't miss out on this real huge wave of investment, this giant wave of development of new technology? And in particular, how can we make use of this autonomy technology to help us reach new destinations with our missions and to acquire new measurements, things that we can't currently achieve, but which may become possible through the use of autonomy. I think another way of thinking about this, too, is that a lot of the missions that we do today, for good or for bad, are fairly risk-averse. They are designed in a way to try to minimize risk at all stages. We heard during the Exploration Science Forum from a number of people, if you were here the past few days, that we really should be thinking about how can we avoid being risk-averse. So that's kind of like a double negative, but really try to embrace those things which are more complex, more difficult, perhaps more challenging, just harder to do. I think another thing that's interesting too is, of course, as we're looking towards the future, obviously missions have always been constrained in terms of the budget, constrained in terms of the resources, and that's not in all likelihood going to change. In fact, it may actually be more constrained in the future. And so there's another question of, can we use autonomy technology to perhaps address that? Can we do more with less? Although that's part of the things we're going to be talking about today. So today's workshop is really meant to address thinking about autonomy for future SMD missions. We really want all of you to engage, think big, think out of the box. For the scientists that are here, we challenge you to try to learn about what's possible with autonomy technology today and in the near future. For those technologists out there, we want you to learn about the missions that are beyond what we're already planning, but missions that we would like to plan, missions that we would like to carry out, and try to come together from both directions. And at the end of the day, what we really care about is really trying to help NASA plan for the future. I would challenge all of you to keep this in mind as we're talking today, as you hear presentations in the morning, and then as we work together in small groups this afternoon. Thinking about how can autonomy increase mission capabilities, increase mission performance. Can autonomy enable lower cost missions? Fundamentally, how would missions change in terms of the objectives, requirements, the concepts of operations, the way we just design missions in order for us to allow them to be more autonomous? And maybe sort of overarching, how can we make our missions really, really great and not just good enough? We spend a lot of time creating requirements and figuring, oh, can we just meet those requirements? But I would challenge you all to think about how can we go beyond that. At the end of the day, Mike and I talked a lot about what we want to get out of this workshop and a few outcomes. One is we'd really like to hear from people about new mission concepts that can only be accomplished with autonomy. These are things that we might try to include in the upcoming decadal surveys, which are going to get started very soon, if not already. We're also looking for new ideas, new topics for autonomy technology itself, or perhaps analog field testing that can be included in future SMD and STMD solicitations. And beyond that, of course, ongoing projects are always looking out for new and interesting things to develop and test. And at the end of the day, trying to provide ideas to help influence and help really provide input to NASA planning. There are a number of activities going on today within SMD, for example. There's an update to the planetary technology roadmap. Trying to look at new technology is a really important part of that process. Carolyn Mercer is sitting here in front, and I know that she's got her pen out just looking for things to add to that. So it's really important for us as a community here to have this discussion and try to find ways to think about new missions, new technology, things that we should focus on. Just some brief logistics here, and then we're really going to start swinging into the rest of the workshop here. In case of emergency, please exit. There are doors clearly marked exit. Our assembly point is actually across the street in a place called Chase Park is where these barbecues are. But basically, get out of the building, get across the street, assemble over there, and then we'll take stock, make sure that we have everybody. Coffee, soft drinks, and water are on sale on the lobby. They're graciously been set up there by Servy. If you want coffee, I think it's $3 all day, or actually, let's say maybe it's back there. So unlimited coffee is kind of a dangerous thing to say to people, but feel free to get yourself really energized. One thing, there is no cafeteria in this building, and in fact, there are no restaurants that are immediately close to here. So what we've designed in the overall schedule for today is that we'll be in breakout groups, small groups of like 5 or 6 people, We would like each breakout group to head out to lunch. If you're not from this area, there is a map, a handout in the front with some suggestions of places to go. But please factor this into your morning. So when you're starting to get hungry, encourage your group, hey, let's all get up and keep a discussion going. Let's go out to lunch. That's where we're going to handle that today. Lastly, if you need any assistance, if you have any questions, if you have any personal problem, please contact one of the organizers, myself and Mike here. Where's Michael? Michael Furlong and Florence. Where's Florence? Oh, there you are, right there. Okay. With that, let me just tell you briefly about the overall agenda. We have a series of talks this morning. We have 3 initial talks. Mike Seablum is going to talk first about SMD and current focus on new technology areas. In particular, I believe autonomy is a core part of that. I'm going to give you a presentation about autonomy within the NASA technology roadmaps. And then the last longer talk we have is with Martin Searhouse, if he arrives. Martin is the director of the Nissan Research Center in Silicon Valley. He'll talk to you about self-driving cars and autonomous healthcare and those kinds of things. After that, we're going to have a short break, and then we have a series of lightning talks. These are 2-minute talks, and we have, I think, about 13, 14 people that we have asked to give these quick talks. And then we'll break up into breakouts for the rest of the day. 2 sessions, each focused around small group work, and we'll talk more about that when we get to that. But with that, I think we'll move on to the first talk, which is Mike.